Being a marketer's no sweat. You just have to manage dozens of channels, launch hundreds of campaigns, score thousands of leads, and okay, fine, it's a lot of sweat. Unless you have HubSpot's AI-powered marketing tools to help you do all that and more. Get started at HubSpot.com/marketers.
This episode is brought to you by NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV. There's plenty to be thankful for. Your friends, family, and the fact that you can now get NFL Sunday Ticket for only $89. So thank yourself this holiday season and watch every game every Sunday when you bundle NFL Sunday Ticket and YouTube TV. Sign up now at youtube.com/Sunday Ticket. Offer ends December 2nd. Local and national games on YouTube TV. NFL Sunday Ticket for out-of-market games excludes digital-only games. Terms and embargoes apply.
The Emirates NBA Cup is here. You can win big getting in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. All 30 teams, split into 6 groups, every Tuesday and Friday playing for the right to advance in the single elimination in-season tourney, culminating in the NBA Cup Championship in Vegas. First time? Here's something special just for you. New DraftKings customers, bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Score big with DraftKings Sportsbook. Every point counts. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use promo code IHEART. That's promo code IHEART for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and over. Ohio only. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/bball.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to your post-match Raw, podcasting to you from my field here in beautiful rural Ireland. I'm Trev Downey, and joining me to give their immediate reactions to Liverpool 2, Manchester City 0 in the Premier League from Anfield are Dave Hendrick and Jim Boardman. Back to back with the crew here tonight, Dave, and it's a super evening to be a Red. Doesn't need any more elaboration than that. It's just such a good time to be a fan of this club.
Yeah. It absolutely is. It absolutely is. 20 games in under the new manager, 18 wins, 1 draw, 1 defeat. The draw is away to Arsenal, most people's favourites to win the league prior to the season. And other than the blemish against Nottingham Forest, we've been absolutely flawless so far across all the competitions. And I thought today was absolutely perfect in so many ways, because that first 25 minutes, we absolutely ripped them to shreds. Like, it was like watching prime Jurgen Klopp era Liverpool.
It was wild, wasn't it? The discrepancy was wild.
It was like watching a Premier League team up against a League One team at times.
Yes. Yeah.
We cut through them over and over and over again, and we should have been 2 or 3 up. Then there was a 20-minute spell where I thought it was an even game, but we were very much in control. And again, we could have scored. And that reminded me of watching Pep Guardiola's Manchester City. And then in the second half, we sat back in. We bedded in and let them have the ball. And they never even laid a glove on us. The only decent chance they managed to muster today was when Virgil started pricking about and went to Cruyff turn Kevin De Bruyne and made a mess of it. That's the only decent chance they've gotten today, and we gave that to them. Virgil had more attempts on goal today than Erling Haaland. And then at the end of the game, we again reverted back to something that we'd seen a lot from Klopp, which is that relentless ability to counterattack at high speed. But rather than it always ending in a shot, when the shot wasn't there, we saw this fantastic maturity of going to the corner, reset.
Dom running to the top right-hand corner repeatedly. I love that.
Love resetting, getting ourselves up into their half, and now it's a thing of, right, now play it through us if you can get it back. Like, I thought we saw such a complete performance from Liverpool today, like the best of the best. From Virgil, from Mo, from Dominic, I thought was unbelievable in midfield. Gravenberch had a very good game, which hasn't been the case in a lot of recent games, but today he looked bang up for it. McAllister was excellent again today. I thought the defence around Virgil, I thought Joe Gomez was absolutely incredible as well, and probably won't get as much praise he deserves. But it's not just the defensive side from Joe. He hit 2 absolute peaches of passes in that first half as well. Trent was good, Robbo was good, and then Cody and Lucho just caused them non-stop problems. Kyle Walker couldn't figure Cody Gakpo out. And then Diaz went on him, who presents a completely different threat, and he ripped him apart as well. I just thought, man for man, every single player, including the subs that came on, Kwanzaa was great, Darwin was great, Curtis was great. Even when Harvey came on, he was only on the pitch for seconds, he still made an impression. Like, everything right now is pumping on all cylinders for us. And there doesn't look to be a team that's capable of beating us.
I mean, it's just, like I say, it's just such a super position to be in, because as Dave says, Jim, we look to have lots of different iterations of Arne Slot's Liverpool that can appear at any given moment. And whereas I'm not a massive fan of what we were doing for a big portion of the second half, which was sitting off and not having that high press and inviting them all to us and backing ourselves to get the toe in and the foot in and play through them and try to hit it on the counter, it's not a comfortable watch. But you'd have to have confidence in them when they do it, because they do it so well. So it just feels like there are quite a few strings to the Liverpool bow at the moment, different ways in which we can see a game out, whether it is that, sort of slowing down as you run towards the corner that we saw Dom Szoboszlai do a few times, and then shuffling it back all the way to Quivine because, fuck you, we're going to see this game out and we're going to keep this clean sheet. Or whether it is the hair on fire counter-attack where lads are moving nearly too fast to control the ball, which we saw at one point. It was one of the wildest breaks I've ever seen. Like, no pass was quite intentional. Everyone was just almost like just a centimetre too short. But we carry that intense threat on the counter every single time. If the opposition gets a corner, they better fucking watch out. So it just feels, Jim, like, we really have a proper unit building under this man's tutelage here.
Yeah, I mean, these last 2 games were the big ones, weren't they, when we were looking at fixtures a while ago. And I was just thinking back to last weekend, we might have said, if you were sort of might start with 10 average over the whole team, you might have said 7 or something for the win, maybe even less. Midweek, maybe give them an 8 against Real Madrid because they'd up the game, maybe more, but let's say an 8 today. I'm not sure it works out with averages, but it almost feels like you'd give a 10 out of 10 average today, because it's hard to really fault anyone. You would knock off points for occasional things like Virgil's little moments and stuff, but it would feel almost like harsh to knock that off. And we are it's, as you say, a unit. We're playing in a way that if someone's missing, someone comes in and you kind of forget someone's missing. It sounds mad, and maybe that's why the media haven't kind of. Maybe they aren't just anti-Liverpool, and maybe they haven't realised that we've got players missing, because we're not looking like a team that's got players missing. City are looking like a team that have got half the players missing, more than that missing, that they've got, they've brought in some ex-pros or something to play with them. They're looking awful, but it's not all just down to having players missing. It's not, it isn't, because look how well Liverpool are playing, and the answer to any moans like that from City is your injury crisis wouldn't be such a crisis if you didn't have that £100 million of player on one seat on the bench. Maybe if you'd spread that out a little bit more, you'd have had more players. But yeah, it's like, I've said for a few years on the Klopp that on the day Liverpool are capable of beating anyone, but whether Liverpool would beat anyone is another matter. It depends on so many things, and This Liverpool side, when you say that, it feels like it's going to be more of a surprise. I mean, we're going to lose. It stands to sense, doesn't it? You're eventually going to lose a game, but it doesn't feel like we can. And as Jay and I joke anyway, I didn't see the Forest game, so as far as I'm concerned, Liverpool haven't lost under this guy yet. But I just wanted to put a bit of. I mean, the phrase that came to me today, though, as I was watching that, was goosebumps, and it's not very often you get that in football. You get it every so often, but I just sort of thought, my God, it's a real feeling that this is proper history being made here. Something that maybe our grandkids will be telling to their grandkids or something because they'll have heard it from us. That type of thing. It's a story that's going to get passed down. Hopefully, anyway. Unless something changes. This man has fixed what was broken with Klopp, and there wasn't loads broken with Klopp, but he's spotted what it was and he's fixed it. But miraculously, he's done it without breaking the things that were working under Klopp. So I just love, like you say, the discipline when we need to be disciplined, that adventure when we need to show adventure. And he's just got it drummed into them. Just think, do you really need to have a shot at goal now, or are you better, like you say, running into the corner? I just wanted to kind of put a bit of balance in, though, because I've just seen this pop up on the BBC website, and this is from Steve, who's obviously phoned in or whatever to the BBC, or WhatsApped in. Moral of victory to City. A rampant Liverpool can only get 2 goals against struggling City. One of those a traditional Anfield penalty. City greater possession and matched Liverpool's touches in the box. Liverpool made more fouls, though, showing they felt the pressure. I wish I was able to sort of see reality in such a different way. I think I'd get through some of the harder times in life if I had that ability of Steve. But
God bless Steve. He obviously does see the world in a very specific way. And on an evening like this, we can only smile sort of benignly at the likes of Steve. And I was saying to you guys before the mics went live, they're going to be Arsenal fans and they're just not going to understand what the world is tonight, because they're going to have to talk about Liverpool as a potential title challenger to them. Arteta is going to be absolutely pulling out his Lego head hair. It's a remarkable evening. It's a remarkable evening. It's going to really impact some people badly. Poor Gary Neville was nearly broken on Sky this evening. He was sort of wittering on about how Virgil van Dijk had been so incredible, just as Virg did that kind of silly turn in and nearly let who was it? Was it De Bruyne was against him in, and Queeb saved his blushes. But as you said, Jim, the guy had been so immense that even Gary Neville was singing his praises and talking about how he was probably man of the match. And we saw everything. We saw everything from Virgil tonight. He was just fucking outrageous. He was in all the right spots versus Haaland when he needed to be. He went off on a little Joel Matip adventure at one point towards the end of the game and played in Darwin Núñez, and his centre didn't quite make it. He was absolutely unlivable in terms of our offensive efforts from corners. I mean, the man is an absolute beast. And when you can come in like Joe Gomez did today and just look like you're perfectly at home alongside him, like Ibu has all season, I mean, it speaks absolute volumes of credit to Joe Gomez as well, that he can just stand beside that man and not look like an absolute child. So much for us to get into, and we'll start just quickly with the lineups. And Dave, no one's going to have been surprised, really, I don't think, by the lineup. Most people, I'd say, would have leaned into Cody getting the nod over Darwin, and the front three therefore looked after itself. And I think most people would have gone with that back line. It was just a matter of what was he going to do. And I'd have put money on the back four that he went with as well. And just a little word here, that the only other thing that was up for grabs was Kwanzaa coming in. And when we saw Kwanzaa coming in with more of the game, I think that most of us would have liked, considering the pressure that we were under at that point. Again, a little tip of the cap to that kid who came on and acquitted himself very, very well.
But
he needed that.
Not just that, Trev. He came on at right back.
Yes.
He didn't come on at centre-back. He came on at right-back, and he didn't look out of place.
No.
He didn't look like a centre-back shunted out of the way. He came on, he was comfortable on the ball, he made a couple of good runs forward, and he did no worse against Doku than Trent had done against him. He did probably a little bit better against Doku, in fact, because he was able to get a bit closer and be a bit more physical with him.
And he stayed at home, which you'd want to see from your right back at that stage in the game. Just again, a word about our bench, because this is where you can see the absolute mythologies that get spun about other clubs like Arsenal and City and their so-called injury crises. And you look at who's actually absent for us today, but compared to City, it's a joke shop. Our bench today is Yaros and Davies. That's two keepers. We've got Endo, Nunes, Jones, Elliott, Kwanzaa, Morton, and Leone. Now, I'm sorry, but that's not where a Liverpool bench should be, and it speaks to the level of injuries that we're still coping with. And yes, there's some positive news, Ali and Chiesa and a few other things, but just today, when we really needed them, I'm not having any of this crying from City about injuries. As Jim said earlier on, look at what you've got on the bench, for the love of Christ. De Bruyne, Doku, Grealish, Gvardiol, Savinho. Relax yourselves with your injury crisis, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, look, we had more starters out today than them. Like, we're missing Ali, the best keeper in the world. Ibu, I would say the second best centre-back in the world after the fella that plays next to him. And Diogo Jota, who's our starting number 9. So we're missing 3 starters. You're missing 2. You're missing Rodri and Kovacic. And that's it. Like, I know they'll cry about John Stones. John Stones doesn't start for City nearly as much as people think he does. John Stones has not been a first-choice City centre-back for a couple of years now. In truth, if you look through his entire tenure at City, he's rarely been a starting centre-back who plays more than half the league games.
Am I right in saying he's come on a few times in midfield, actually? Really?
Yeah, but that's the thing. John Stones is the most overrated English player of the last 10 years.
And that takes some doing.
It does. It takes massive doing, but it lives off the fact that he's an aesthetically pleasing centre-back because he's comfortable in the ball. He can carry the ball into midfield. He's relatively quick and he looks calm all the time. Like, he's like if you ordered Virgil off Wish, John Stones would turn up at your door. The last couple of years, he's been living off a run in the Champions League when they won the treble. And we've had James Carragher, cry arser in chief, say multiple times, I've never seen a centre-back do what John Stones is doing. Well, first of all, he wasn't playing as a centre-back, James. He's playing in midfield. Secondly, you must have completely missed the lecture on Franz Beckenbauer at any point in your life. So we had seen it before. We'd seen it much better before. And also, he wasn't playing as a centre-back. He was playing in midfield. Like, this is the type of hyperbolistic nonsense that pushes John Stones to levels that his actual performances have never actually shown. But they're missing 2 starters. And then they can say, oh, Ederson wasn't playing. Yeah, by your manager's choice. KDB wasn't playing. By your manager's choice. Grealish wasn't playing. By your manager's choice. Savinho wasn't playing. By your manager's choice. And I don't know what's gone on here, but I was under the impression that the transfer window wasn't open till January. But they've signed Lil Wayne and had him on the bench and brought him on in the left wing today, which, you know, I thought he was busy recording a new diss track to go back at Kendrick Lamar, but here we are, there he is coming on left wing. But he's on the bench by manager's choice. People get so wrapped up in this whole idea of a manager not having these options. Managerial fatalism is one of the funniest things that has developed out of the social media era, where this notion that a manager has to do certain things because he doesn't have other options, it's always been nonsense. Managers always have options. Like, for example, if Arne doesn't have Ibu today, he could have played Kwanzaa, he could have played Joe. We say, okay, well, he's playing Joe, he's got Trent at right back, but Trent can't play 90. So what he has to do is he has to take Trent off, bring on Kwanzaa, Kwanzaa goes centre-back, and Gomez goes right back. That's managerial fatalism. That's the manager has to do this. And Arne Slot has looked at that and thought, you people know less about football than I know about fucking conditioner. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put Jarrell Kwanzaa right back. I'm just going to put him at right back and he's going to be absolutely fine. And I have full belief. And that kid who hasn't played in the Premier League since the opening day when he got taken off at halftime, which has to be embarrassing for him, that kid walked onto that pitch and looked like he owned it. He didn't look nervous. He didn't look out of place, never looked frazzled, never got rash or anything in his challenges. Got on, did the job to a very high level and proved once again that this guy we've appointed that nobody had on their fucking top 10 list of potential Liverpool managers may actually just be some kind of weird genius that has been created in a lab, because we've never seen anything like this run. For a new manager, we've never seen it.
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. Ha. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mac boxes and games consoles. Visit LibertyShield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
If it's going to be a battle of the balls, then our shiny-headed Pate is absolutely doing a number on the other lad, because apparently while our lot were, bless their hearts, chanting, "You're getting sacked in the morning," he was doing his little smirk up and he held up 6 fingers to indicate his league title wins.
Well, I thought he was saying 6 times about us winning the Champions League.
I assumed he was just joining in. I assumed he was finally outing himself as a true Liverpool fan, because let's be honest, if he had the choice, if all things were even and he had the choice of managing them or managing us, he would manage us, same as anybody else would, because nobody actually wants to be at that little small club.
And yet, here we are, and it looks like there's a possibility now that people are starting to believe that this turnaround could happen. City today, for the record, went with Ortega in goal, Walker, Akanji, Diaz, and Aki. Lewis, Gundogan, Nunes, Silva, Foden and Haaland. Yeah, a shit team, as you can hear. We had referee Chris Kavanagh taking control.
Manchester's Chris Kavanagh.
Greater Manchester's Chris Kavanagh, assisted by several other Greater Manchester colleagues. Fair play. Good to see.
I think he lives nearer to the city. Where he's from, he's nearer to Man City's ground, and say Heighton is from Anfield. So, he's not, he can't even do the sort of "I support Aldringham" line. He's right on the doorstep.
Honest to God, it's so hilarious. But anyway, nothing mattered when this game started, Jim, because it was just wild, the amount of intensity that was on display from the Red Men right from the start. There was a wonderful rob of the ball and a counter, which led to Luis Diaz playing in Cody Gakpo, and Cody's cut back sort of slowed it down a bit. His shot is deflected wide on 4 minutes. There's a dangerous ball by Dom Szoboszlai into Luis Diaz on 6, and then again on 6, Gravenberch intercepts. He carries the ball and he plays it into Dom, and Dom's first time shot is sort of at the keeper. He doesn't have a whole lot of time to sort his feet out. Little bit of more pressure from us on the 7-minute mark, and then on 10 minutes Dom Szoboszlai hits an absolute daisy cutter of a shot from outside the box that kind of spins off the keeper. Trent won a corner in the follow-up, and 11 minutes from the short corner, Virgil van Dijk hits the post. But there's not long to wait, Jim, before we go one ahead, because again, on the 11th minute, there's a fantastic ball into space by Trent for Mo Salah. Mo Julie gets there, and his pass, as he looks up, is just outrageous. An inside of the foot, deliberate hit to the back post, inside of their defender, where Cody can just wander in and sweep it home with his shin from about a yard out. It's all about that pass, but it's also all about the vision from Trent in the first place. And it just felt like a little slice of what we're so familiar with. All our players doing the things they're good at. We know Cody's a good lad to arrive at the back stick. We know Mo Salah has the vision to do that. And we know Trent can pick those beautiful passes. And the bit of dye on the ball as well that just leaves it sitting there for Mo to run into the space and pick it up. It's just glorious. Everything about it. What a start that was. 11 minutes of total domination.
Yeah, I mean, you think about Trent, I mean, we knew he was going to start today if he was fit to start, even if Conor Bradley hadn't been fit. And that's despite that amazing performance from Conor Bradley last week, and people saying, "Oh, Trent might find it hard to get in the team." That's unlikely because of how good Trent can be and all the rest of it. Conor's obviously got a tough ask to get past Trent, despite how well he played the other day. But it's almost as if Trent thought, you know what, I need to make sure I'm on my game, and to me, it's one of the best I've seen him play in that opening period of the game in quite some time, and that's despite, I am sure, not feeling fully fit. I'm sure that's why he didn't stay on right till the end. I'm sure that's why we used Kwanzaa at right back, because the medics probably said, look, you can't really risk him more than 60, 70 minutes. Just don't overdo it. And that's how it's gone. But yeah, that was an amazing pass. But then Mo, I mean, that was, every time I watch the replay of that, I'm looking at it and thinking, how did he do that? It's not something that, it just found a path through everybody right to where Cody Gakpo needs it. And as you say about us playing as a unit, that's one of the things, isn't it, that Cody knew he was going to pass that ball there and he was going to get that chance. It was just brilliant. And I think it came after a spell where I wrote down the word gladiators, because it felt like we were just like wrecking them. We were just absolutely demolishing them. The goal hadn't been breached yet, but we were just, I don't know, we were beating them without scoring at that point, because we were beating them in a sense that we were just doing them in. We were just really, really knocking and messing with the heads. Probably why the six finger thing went on later on, like an old drunk or something down that you sometimes see down the city centres or wherever, waving stuff is what he looked like later on. But yeah, that moment was needed, because we've seen Liverpool do this kind of thing in the past where they've dominated the scenes. The other teams sort of held on, and then maybe we've gone off the boil a little bit, just lost our sort of thread a little bit. Maybe the other managers even sussed out how to nullify some of our threat, but we just kept going and kept going and kept going. And at this point in the game, it's 0-0, so we need to score. So maybe we're taking a little bit more of those chances, taking a little bit more of that risk. But yeah, that just capped an amazing 12 minutes. I hardly wrote anything down in that first 12 minutes because there was just no time to write anything down. There was just so much happening. Fair play to you for managing to write all that down, because it just felt like it was non-stop. Straight out of the blocks. We're here to kill them off. And okay, there was a lot more football to come after that. But I think really we when we look back on it now with more level heads, calmer minds and all the rest of it, we'll look back and think that's when we killed them off. And it could even be that's when we killed City off. That feels that big, at the end of the season, as much as they'd had this bad run, this was the chance to kind of redeem themselves, wasn't it? And I think in that moment, maybe that's what happened. And we've ended them, hopefully.
Well, let me run something past you there on that, because Dave and I have had this conversation before, and I've heard Dave talk to people about it, and I've talked to people about it. So I know that we're on the same page with it. And I was very much of the mind, and I think he was as well, that, it's the way to beat this lot is to actually just demoralize them from the start and just be too good too early, and that they might lose a little bit of interest and maybe focus on the Champions League or whatever. And we know that with Guardiola, there's a chance that there could be, that sort of tantrums. There could be sort of there's the potential that his head could go in that way. I've really been firmly of that opinion. I did think it was going to be a massive ask for us to get this far and be where we are now and have ourselves the opportunity to do that. It seemed like a massive ask. And yet here we are, Jim. And I guess I'm wondering, just to extrapolate from what you're saying, and not to put you on the spot, but do you think that we're actually at that point now where that gap is looking like it's kind of, as my granny used to say, it's time to just throw your hat at it now and focus elsewhere? Do you think that might be a potential mental state and condition that Guardiola and his boys will find themselves in this evening?
I think that's the only way they can get through the rest of the season, because they're used to winning the league. It's their, they made, I mean, fair play to them. They've done it, they found 115 ways to win the league 6 times in those years, but, and just knock us out of the way. And there's been so many controversial moments and stuff. But yeah, they've always had this attitude of being so smug about things, and they've been bullies in a way, and I mean that by having the money as well. They sort of bullied everyone with the money in a way by having this money that, most people with a sort of attempt at being impartial about football would say there's questions to be asked about where all this money comes from and whether it's playing the game in a fair way. And that's, they've kind of lived off that bullying, and bullies don't like being hit back. We're not hitting them back with money, we've hit them back with football. I honestly think they've got big things to do now, and I don't know how well he's going to cope with it. He signed a new deal, and that was meant to be the sort of, he signed a new deal, like, we'll bounce now because he signed a new deal. That's now starting to feel like that could be like a weight around his neck almost, that he's not got that get-out clause, that they're going to have to sort of make a decision. And I think it's all going to add up. And the only hope they've got is, after Christmas, sort of, start showing good in the Champions League, maybe have an FA Cup run.
So I had Lee Dixon, Graham Lasso, and John Champion on the USA stream today. And they were talking about the contract thing. And I don't know if it was said, but I didn't know this, that Pep said a couple of days ago that the contract is only a piece of paper and doesn't mean he's going to stay.
Wow.
So, they brought it up a couple of times. They were like, if this keeps going like this, it's not outside the realms of possibility that he just kind of says, oh, well, you know what, I can't be arsed anymore. I've got my 6 Premier League titles. I won the treble. I got 100 points one year. I've done everything I could have ever set out to do there. Won a domestic treble as well. And he's done, like, in fairness, he has done everything there. 115 charges, obviously a big part of it. But they were saying, like, he basically said, in whether it was a press conference or not, the contract's only a piece of paper and doesn't mean that I'm necessarily going to stay the 2 years. Now, that could also be pointing to him saying, well, look, if these 115 charges come down, there's absolutely no chance I'm sticking around. But, like, it does maybe show that his psyche right now is not great. I said this a few weeks ago. He's never been in this before. This is all entirely new to him. Pep's never had things go against him. The man has literally walked in at Barcelona, and it was like, right, this is Iniesta, this is Xavi, that's Carlos Puyol, and this guy here, that's Lionel Messi. And they've all come from our academy over the last number of years. And then there's a guy in the academy called Sergio Busquets who might be a bit special. Like, he walked in with the deck stacked at Barcelona. He wins everything there. He goes to Bayern Munich, a Bayern Munich team that had just won the Champions League. The deck was stacked entirely in his favour. He won 3 Bundesligas. Everybody wins the Bundesliga if you manage Bayern. It is what it is. It's not an achievement. It's like getting a toy with your Happy Meal. And then he comes to City.
And they weren't our team when he came in. They weren't
that's it.
when he
They
arrived.
won the league title a couple of years beforehand, and you've got all the money in the world. And I went through this on Two Footed recently. Look at the transfers since he walked in. There's obviously been some absolute gems. But if you look at that early City team, the better City team, the kind of 17 to 19 team, 100 points, and then 98 points and a domestic treble in 18-19 when they pip us by a point. That team there, you look at the players in that team. Company, the entire midfield, De Bruyne, Fernandinho, Silva, Sterling, Aguero. As Jose Mourinho said, they were all investments from the past. They weren't Pep signings. Pep spent ferocious amount of money, and he spent much of it badly. Like, he bought Benjamin Mendy for 50 million. He bought Danilo for 30 million. João Cancelo for 60 million, who had one good season while he was there. He's bought Jack Grealish. He bought Riyad Mahrez, who never hit the heights he did at Leicester. He's bought Doku for huge money. He bought Savinho for big, Matthias Nunes, Calvin Phillips. The thing with City where the deck is stacked is you can afford a 50 or 60 million flop every couple of years.
He's let Cole Palmer go as well. There's that side, isn't there?
Let Cole Palmer walk out the door. Let a whole bunch of immensely gifted footballers walk out the door, including Julian Alvarez, by the way, this past summer. And City looked desperately in need of someone that could play up with Haaland or off Haaland or give Haaland a break. he's had the deck stacked everywhere he's been. He's never had to work through something like this. And he doesn't look like a guy who knows how to fix this. And I said after their draw against Feyenoord, that will be more mentally damaging than any of the 5 defeats that come before it, because you're 3-0 up at home with 15 minutes left against a team who, no disrespect, if they were in the Premier League, they'd be in the bottom 3. They'd be in the bottom 3. And you've given up a 3-goal lead at home to them. That will feel worse than a defeat. Like, if you remember when we played Villa, was it last year? They got 2 late goals and got a draw against us. Like, that's how that feels. It feels worse than a defeat when you throw away a lead like that. He's come in today. He didn't look up for it. Forget the players. He looked way off it.
He really strikes me as that his head's gone. He genuinely does. I'd love to know what's going on there. I just, again, I can't say it enough. Nobody seems to ever mention it apart from me, but how you can be okay on camera bringing up spit on your tongue as if that's perfectly normal. That's just weird behavior, man. There's no two ways about it. It's odd. And it's really, really odd. You know,
when like the German coach who used to pick his nose and then eat it and stuff. Name was.
But like, okay, he was on camera, but he wasn't being interviewed. This fucker's being interviewed when he's doing that. He's being interviewed. It's
here as well as like, people were saying Gary Neville tried to start this mandate of bullshit before this game, that all the pressure was now on us. Oh, no, it wasn't. Yeah. They were under pressure that they'd never felt before. Like, every year there's pressure for City to go and win the league. But when you've done something over and over again and you know you can do it, then any pressure's not really there. You don't even acknowledge it. But they've never had negative pressure like this before, to stop a run like this. Never under this man, never at any club he's been at. There's never been pressure like this before. And genuinely, at one point in the first half, in the first 25 minutes, we are absolutely ripping through them. And Arne is on the touchline and he is directing things. He's constantly talking to somebody. He's notifying Virgil of things he wants changed on the other side, and Virgil's relaying it. And Pep is sat slumped in his chair with the rim of his jacket up over his mouth, sinking lower and lower as if he just didn't want to be there. And when that happened, I was like, they're going to go in at half time, and whatever he says to them, they're going to know he doesn't mean this. He doesn't think we can get back into this. Now, they came out second half and were a bit better, obviously, but that was partly because we allowed them to be. But he looks so far gone. It's baffling. He looks further gone than Jurgen ever did. And at times last season, the season before, and in the COVID year of 2021, remember when his mum died, and Jurgen just looked completely out of it, which was understandable. There was a pandemic going on. His mum had passed away. It was a mess. But Jurgen never looked as disconnected as this guy does right now.
Hey guys, it's Eddie Gibbs from Anfield Index here. I hope you're enjoying this podcast, and I'm sorry to call time on the show before it ends. In the current climate, it's tougher than ever before to offer podcasts for free. At Anfield Index, we produce over 75 free shows every month, which I'm confident is unparalleled in the LFC sphere. Whilst we'd love to offer everything for free, the production costs now make this impossible. That said, we don't want to follow the model of other channels and lock all of our content behind a paywall. So what we've decided to do is to continue offering every show for free, but cut that offering to 30 minutes on our longer shows. So to get all of our shows in full and enjoy the best of everything we have to offer, we really hope you'll consider supporting the channel and signing up at AnfieldIndexPro.com. For about the price of 1 cup of coffee, you'll get every podcast in full with 0 ads. You'll also get access to our LFC VIP community, where you can enjoy live podcasts, engage with our podcasters, and chat with other Reds in real time. So that website again, AnfieldIndexPro.com. Join today.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Black Friday is coming, and for the adults in your life who love the coolest toys, well, there's something for them this year too. Bartisan is the premier craft cocktail maker that automatically makes more than 60 seasonal and classic cocktails, each in under 30 seconds at the push of a button. And right now, Bartisan is having a huge site-wide sale. You can get $100 off any cocktail maker or cocktail maker bundle when you spend $400 or more. So, if the cocktail lover in your life has been good this year, or the right kind of bad, get them Bartisan. At the push of a button, make bar-quality cosmopolitans, martinis, Manhattans, and more. All in just 30 seconds. All for $100 off. Amazing toys aren't just for kids. Get $100 off a cocktail maker when you spend $400 through Cyber Monday. Visit Bartisan.com/cocktail. That's BARTESIAN.com/cocktail.